Hello, welcome. Episode 8 of the Dish and Switching podcast. Getting another full length edition. First time in probably over 2 months. It is now June 6th, and I'm going to give you the new updated version of this again, just me by myself. Going to talk some sports, but also mix in more pop culture, TV, movies, whatever people tweet at me. I'll do all of it. Hopefully, it'll appeal to more than just college age dudes and more girls and older, younger people could listen. Kind of like a Bill Burr Barstool podcast mix where kind of just ramble about whatever's on your mind. I've certainly been busy, been up to a lot with the NBA Finals, working, that part-time blue-collar grind. So either late nights until after the game's over at, 2 o'clock in the morning coming home, or traveling early at, 4 o'clock in the morning to get into work for the morning show. So my schedule's all over, and that kind of ruins my ability to do these because either I'm dead tired during the day, or out of energy by like dinner time, so I just never get a chance to do it. Fortunately for you guys, or unfortunately, depending how you feel about this, I'm back, so I could do one today. Like I said, I've been all over. I've been pretty busy. Up to Boston for Jada, my girlfriend's graduation, and my alma mater definitely knows how to make you feel ashamed to be a white Christian male. I don't want to get too into politics or whatever, but they, sometimes you go too far being PC, and they definitely did a job with that. It got to the point where parents and other graduates and people just attending were saying, this is a bit too much. It's too, makes you feel uncomfortable between the speakers and just the direction they were giving with at commencement, even a couple days later past the comm graduation. It was just it was a bit much. That was something I definitely thought of. That was like a month ago already at this point, but it was something I had on my mind for a while. It was just like, you had to apologize for. I should get my degree back. I'm like, sorry that I ruined your school for being a white guy and not like some kind of foreign person who's doing charity work, whatever. I'm just an idiot who's podcasting and working at a radio station. But anyway, that kind of rubbed us and myself and a lot of people the wrong way. So I figured I wanted to speak up about that, and I believe I tweeted about it too. But anyway, just like I said before, back to the typical grind of work. NBA playoffs give me a lot of stuff to worry about and be busy. But I will start off with some sports, and then we'll get to other stuff after. LeBron, Steph Curry, NBA Finals. I was rooting for the Cavs just because I have Warriors fatigue. I'm tired of the whole Steph Curry narrative and his baby and chewing the mouthpiece, and his wife and his family is so good, and his dad everyone knows, and his brother plays in the league too, and his mom is always there cheering everyone on, like the whole family goals, hashtag family goals, couple goals. Like, I'm just sick of that whole narrative. I'm just tired of it. When you work on the NBA station every day, all you hear is calls about Steph Curry this, Steph Curry that, Warriors this, Warriors that, best team ever. I was only 4 years old when the Bulls went 72-10, so I don't really remember that. I don't think a lot of people I know remember that unless they go have his stuff on tape or watch YouTube videos. So LeBron on the other hand, though, is a total idiot, and they're down now 2-0, and he says the dumbest crap ever, and I'll get to that in a second. But I thought it would have been cool to see Cleveland win a title, and to see LeBron get a third ring and kind of further cement himself as the best of all time. Again, it's just me being selfish because I live in this era, this generation. I want to see the greatest basketball player of all time. So to me, that'd be pretty cool. And I kind of hate the popular opinion of, LeBron's not the best. Not he's not Magic or Larry Bird. He's not Michael Jordan. He's not even Kobe Bryant. I like being the contrarian person and going against it. I think LeBron's pretty dominant. So because everyone's against him, I like to go against the grain and root for him. But like I said before, he is a total idiot. He says the dumbest stuff ever. He's watching Christmas movies in May. He's doing the 0 dark 30 23 social media blackout. But then he comes back on periodically to say something and then goes back to the blackout. Like he's a child. Or what he said the other day, something about being low on the totem pole. Right, so he wants us to believe he's the lowest guy in the totem pole in Cleveland when he literally is the only reason their economy is still alive and kicking. He, told Dan Gilbert which team he wants, traded Andrew Wiggins away for Kevin Love, which now looks like a mistake. Got David Blatt fired when he was first place in the East. What else am I missing? Whatever. Point is, LeBron's not low on the totem pole. I just feel like if you were out in a club, like I would feel more confident in myself than LeBron James if I was out in a social setting. And I don't blame him because look, how old was he when he got, started getting touted? 11, 12 years old. Maybe a little bit older than that. He was, started getting the pressure on him for going to a certain school, AAU team, whatever he did. What he goes, St. Vincent St. Mary. He was never reprimanded. He was always told he was the best, and everyone was trying to just get part of his crew just so they knew when this day eventually came when he was a megastar in the NBA that people were part of his inner circle. And I kind of feel from that regard because I couldn't imagine being a kid with a really messed up childhood, no dad, a crazy mom, poor, and then becoming part of the he's an international superstar now. So in that sense, yeah, I'm kind of I understand why he's a weirdo, but I mean, can you just imagine him being out in public? I couldn't imagine having a conversation with him. Like, what could he talk about? Do people actually care about what he says? I mean, he's just proving to his point that he's a total freak and says the dumbest stuff ever, and is just really is a loser. But I am still rooting for him, although it's going to be over with now. But they're going to lose, and then I think the team will be totally different next year. LeBron will be there. He'll stay. He's not going to leave Cleveland, but I think the team will look much, much different. If they don't turn things around, especially if they get swept. I mean, even I'm talking about like star players like Kyrie or Kevin Love. I feel like could be on the trade block because LeBron is the GM, the owner, the best player, the coach, the everything. Not just the offensive coordinator, like he says, and Kyrie's the quarterback. It's way different. It's a different landscape than he's letting the media know from his comments. Trust me on that. I'm trying to think what else is there going on. Oh, sports. Yeah, hockey. Stanley Cups tonight. Game 4, Shark Tank. Very happy they won Game 3 in overtime. It stinks they lost Game 2 thanks to Sidney Crosby cheating. I said in 100 of these podcasts already how much I hate the Penguins, how much I hate Sidney Crosby. And, I'm glad Logan Couture steps up and says something about when you have the home ice and you're a superstar having the refs in your pocket and it's a real thing. He didn't square up. He didn't put a stick down the ice. He was cheating, but I think it happens a lot more in the league than people really know about. But still good for him. Now the media knows. Now he drew attention to it, so the rest of them be a little bit more consistent with those calls. So I was glad to see them win. Hopefully this series goes 7, but with the Sharks victory, it'd be pretty cool if the Sharks win. They have a pretty good fan base out there. A lot of guys on the team I like, so I wouldn't really be too upset if they won. However, with the Penguins winning, I'd be pretty crushed. It's a pretty bad sports year for me to see the Penguins win. The Warriors probably win. Yankees stink. Rangers didn't go anywhere. Football was miserable. So the Sharks winning wouldn't be so bad. But I'm looking forward to that game tonight. What else do I want to talk about? Game of Thrones last night. I have a pretty big argument today about that with a lot of my friends. Not argument, but just, debate in our group chat. They're saying it's a good season. It was a good episode. I wasn't really the biggest fan of it for a number of reasons. The Hound coming back, that's something I could have predicted forever ago. Just with the casting of Ian McShane, reading the books and knowing who the guy was, the grave digger, his name was in the books, saying that the Hound, he buried the Hound, but the guy was, 8 foot tall and had a scarf covering his face. It's a dead giveaway. That I saw coming a mile away. So it doesn't really add much to it. I also don't think there's going to be a Clegane Bowl, Mountain versus the Hound, because there's 3 episodes left. The Hound is still on the island. Not sure the name of it. It slips my mind. The Brotherhood Without Banners just killed the people he was with. So if anything, he's going to go after and kill them. He's not going to come all the way back to King's Landing and, the Faith's going to say, please fight on our behalf first. Whoever Cersei picks, which will be Robert Strong and Mountain, his brother. It's nice in theory. I don't think it happens. I think it's a better shot of Loras Tyrell fighting the Mountain than seeing this happen. But actually, I don't think this would be a fight at all. I think Cersei would just screw stuff up and just go crazy. I think the preview, the next episode, episode 8, said something about her saying she chooses violence, and she was already being confronted by her nephew, I guess it is, her nephew, and who's the one that went crazy and joined the whole the faith and whatever, and under the High Sparrow. So I think there's going to be a lot of chaos in that particular area. Don't think it involves the Hound. Robert Strong will be involved, obviously, but just not in the way everyone thinks. So that to me was cool to see him come back, but not, I didn't fall out of my chair. I wasn't really that surprised. The whole Arya storyline with her, episode after episode after episode of her doing absolutely nothing in the house, whatever it's called. I even forget the name's in Bravo, somewhere, wherever she is, with Jack and Agar, the faceless men, and just like the whole waif girl hating her and beating her with a stick. It's all that. It's like every episode. It's all it was. It was him talking to her in code, and then her getting the crap kicked out of her with a stick, and then it was like her struggling but still saying she's no one when every episode there was a clue that she still is Arya Stark. Now she finally runs away, and then Jaqen told the waif to kill her, don't let her suffer, and then she goes and stabs her in the stomach, and she gets away swimming. So now, obviously, Jaqen's going to get involved again because the waif didn't listen to him, and she, instead of, stabbing her once and killing her, he stabbed her in the stomach, which is a problem. So that's going to continue. To me, I don't really care enough because it's just a miserable storyline. I don't see what Arya's endgame is to the whole story of Game of Thrones, because she doesn't really seem to be a dragon rider. She's not going to help defeat the White Walkers. If anything, she's an assassin. Great, she kills out one person at a time. But the story is developing way past just a political show into something about a life or death war. Living versus the undead. And I don't know what her place is, but maybe I'm wrong. I know a lot of people like her. She's a fan favorite. I think she does a great acting job. I just don't think for the show itself, like, she really matters in the long term. So I, couldn't really care less about her storyline at all. The last episode specifically, I think the North stuff was cool, but it took way too much time going from house to house to house to asking about them to help side with the Starks and help Jon and Sansa out. I think that could have been condensed to be way quicker, because now it's just like, you have 3 episodes left. You're saying, the writers of the show are saying, the next season is just a 13 episode season split into 2. So how are you going to wrap everything up, fight Ramsay and the Boltons, and fight and then eventually fight the White Walkers? I don't see how that's all going to wrap up, and I guess that would be 16 episodes left. Does not make any sense to me. So, I mean, again, that's my favorite part of the story, but I just don't think they executed that part well. What else am I missing in that show? Jaime, I guess, going to Riverrun versus the Blackfish. That could be cool. I'm assuming there's going to be a battle there. They're going to stand off outside the castle. Seeing a Blackfish Tully versus the Lannister battle would be cool. I like both those characters. I think hopefully they execute that properly. I know the book has a lot of extra, curriculars going on with the wolves and the Brotherhood, and there's Lady Stoneheart, so that could be something that could pop up. I doubt it as well. But, right now the season to me has been kind of underwhelming. It's a lot of plot points that are setting up future stuff. Nothing really happens, nothing concrete happens to make you go, wow, in the moment. It's always like, oh, this happened, so this eventually could happen. That's my only problem with it. I mean, obviously it's still the best show on television, but I feel like it's lacking some wow moments, maybe like in season 4 when you had the Mountainverse over in Martell, or season 5 had Hardhome, where you saw how powerful the White Walkers were with the wits. And this season doesn't have it really yet, besides Jon coming back, which again I would have guessed anyway. The Hound coming back, which again I could have guessed. So not a lot of crazy stuff going on, but let's see what happens. Episodes 9 is usually the best. There's still 8, 9, 10 left, so I'm sure we'll see a battle in the North. We'll see a battle in the Riverlands. We'll see something crazy go down between Cersei and the Faith. And then what's up with the White Walkers and Bran? What's their endgame? What's going to happen at the end of the season? Will the wall fall down? That was my guess originally. Right now, it doesn't look so promising because of how slow the show's been developing and how little they've actually focused on the White Walkers. But, I don't know. I'm not part of the show. Have I read some spoilers and stuff? Yes. Am I going to mention it here? No. Will I say that I'm going to put the season at the all-time best after if what I saw was right? I don't think this season will be that outstanding compared to others. And to me, it almost leads me to believe they're not just going to finish after one season split into 2. There'll be more than just 13 episodes left if what I read was correct, because I feel like there's a lot more story to tell. You haven't even got Dany to come across the narrow sea yet. which is eventually going to probably lead to the end of the story with her dragons versus the White Walkers. So I don't know. I mean, it's taken 5.5, almost 6 full seasons of her to get over here. If you're going to make her come across in an episode or two and then just fight the war and win, I think it's just kind of selling your fans short. So we'll see what they do. I don't doubt the show writers or anything. I'm kind of more excited for the book to come out. The rumors are that it's going to come out. They're going to be announced when the book's coming out after the season's over. So that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I definitely will continue to talk about more Game of Thrones and stuff like this on the podcast, not just make it boring sports. Anything else show related I want to talk about? I don't watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette, whatever this one is. Is it Bachelorette? If it's a woman Bachelorette, yeah. So it's a woman wanting the 30 different guys. So I'm assuming it's Bachelorette. What's her name? Like Joanne or something? Something with a J. Jolene? I don't even know. Jolene's not even her real name. But I heard something, I think it was on Katie Nolan's podcast, and they were making fun of it, and they were saying how, and this is something I always wondered too about that show, because I always hated it for this reason. It's just so not true. Like, how do you force people into marrying somebody who they don't even know? And apparently there's a guy or a character in the show, I don't know if it's like wrestling, it's like a scripted character or it's a real guy, but they were at some like function or event or something in the show, and he said like, I'm not gonna propose to you now because I don't know you. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, like somebody finally understands it and grasps it. Like, he's a real dude. Like, nobody would ever do that. Like, imagine your real life. A guy comes up to you. If you're a girl, I'm playing the role of a girl, and a guy comes up to you and says, let's go for helicopter ride around the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, sure, it's kind of strong for a first date, but maybe you say okay. Then the guy's like saying like, oh my god, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, I love you, this and that, and he gets on his knee and proposes in the middle of the plane or the helicopter. I would like literally roll out and just fall to my death, because that's the weirdest thing of all time. No people do that. It's ludicrous. So like, I don't get how in the show they can make this kind of stuff so accelerated and like make it okay for them to do. And I get it's a TV show, and I get it's very, very popular, and there's like 4-hour episodes, which is whatever. That's fine. As it makes for good TV, sure, absolutely does. But for like the actual real life living and stuff, you don't have chemistry or know the person. And I don't know how people are like, they sign up for this stuff. Like Aaron Rodgers' brother signs up. He's like, oh, I can't find anyone, being Aaron Rodgers' brother and going to cool stuff with him and being a former quarterback myself. Like, he has that much of a hard time going to a bar and starting conversations, being like, hey, my name's, Rodgers. You sound familiar? My brother is, number 12 for the Green Bay Packers. I used to play for a college football program as well. Like, you can't go to a bar and find it like everyone else does on the planet. Just speak like a normal human being. You have to go into a reality show and like fake confess your love for some like bimbo who was a loser on other past seasons, from what I'm told. I never watched an episode, but I'm pretty sure she was a loser on like past episodes. Like, got a boob job, and it was like, now I'm going to find my true soulmate. Like, not really. The show producers are kind of forcing your hand on this. So I don't know. That show to me makes no sense. It's bizarre, but girls are obsessed with it. I'm not crapping on it because I like bad TV myself. I like shows that are guilty pleasure shows. That's fine. But I mean, I'm just glad somebody broke like that fourth wall to make you think like, oh wait, maybe they're not really soulmates, because it's pretty weird to propose to somebody after like 2 dates. Especially with a bunch of cameramen and like producers in your face and being like, and cut. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm trying to think what else we have to go on today. I did get a lot of really, really, really funny tweets, all from Joe Carlin, who's done a lot of stuff with the Dish and Swishin podcast, blog, website, all that. I should probably answer all these in a row because these are hilarious. His first one is, do you consider a hot dog a sandwich? And that is a question that I always joke around with my friends with, and I'm on the side that it is a sandwich because you have a bread and you have a meat. I don't care if you hold it, the meat is exposed in the top, I guess you could say. But if you go to like, say, Fenway Park or somewhere around Boston, they have like those white bread rolls that look more of like bread than like a sub roll like we have in like New York. And I mean, if you're putting toppings on it, there's toppings on a sandwich. So I'd say that I'm going to lean the side that hot dog's a sandwich. Hot dog, you could argue, best tasting meat around. And I don't do any condiments. I mean, I could do chili and cheese. I'm not a mustard guy, I'm not a ketchup guy. But I know that's like the the go-to. People put like relish, stuff like that. So you're putting all those toppings. You have a meat on a piece of bread. How is that not a sandwich? Like, it's long and skinny, and like I said, the top is exposed, but there's like hot open-faced turkey sandwiches. It's the same concept. So absolutely, it's a sandwich. I want to go, yes, sandwich for a hot dog. His next one was, should David Wright retire or be euthanized? No, I'm actually not a closet Met fan, but as a Yankee, I have no ill will towards the Mets as a Yankee fan. I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, it's Yankees, only team that matters in New York. Like, when they were going on their World Series run last year, I was 100% on their bandwagon. I have no problem with the Mets. They're not the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees and Mets do not have a rivalry. I don't care what people say. The Jets and Giants do not have a rivalry either. It's just they're in different, baseball, they're in different conferences. Same thing with football. It does not work like that. So I should say different leagues in baseball. So Dave Wright, I would never want him to be euthanized. He's the captain of the team. He's been there forever. He seems like a good team guy. Right now, he'd probably be the best player on the Yankees because the Yankees are god awful. So he'd probably be batting cleanup even with a broken back for the Yankees right now. Uh, you know, uh, Being a professional athlete and hearing the news that you're back, you have spinal stenosis, and your life will probably never be the same as you get older, or have some kind of inhibitions to live your life to the max, to maybe his back's going to start curling up. I don't know what happens. I really don't know what happens with that whole diagnosis, but I'm assuming when he's in his 60s, 70s, whatever, his life won't be fun. And for the fact that he's still continuing to play and still performing pretty well out there, I give him a lot of credit. So I think euthanize, absolutely not. Retire, I mean, that's up to the doctors, and it's up to him if he wants to enjoy, have a better quality of life in his 30s, 40s, 50s until he gets older and things start to get worse. That's totally up to him, and I would not really get on his case whatsoever for that. I appreciate what he's doing right now for the Mets, and he's giving it his all. And I think athletes today don't even have that drive. So I'm actually I'm very pro David Wright in that regard. Joe's next question was, do you think Muhammad Ali would be vocal about how his death was handled and if he wasn't dead? He would not be vocal. He'd find a way to dodge it. But thank you. No. Yeah, Muhammad Ali died the other day. We were out, and I was out Saturday night, and I came on the TV, and that was pretty upsetting to see that. I guess it's just weird to see like sports icons die. It's just cool. I mean, it's better to be. Well, for one, it makes me feel older when all these people pass away. Like, we've had a pretty rough stretch for public figures recently with like Prince, David Bowie. You have legends of music, legends of sports now are dying. Muhammad Ali. You never want to see that. A lot of guys in the NBA too. This past season have passed away. So I don't want to see that just because I'm like, wow, I'm getting much older, and all these people who I grew up with who are alive and still pretty in good shape, whatever, are now passing away. But I never really watched or got the whole sense of why Muhammad Ali was so important. I guess once he died, you kind of did. So to answer Joe's question, would he be vocal about how his death was handled? I think he was given a pretty fair deal about how he was handled. I mean, I work for the NBA channel, and I believe since that happened Saturday night, so starting Sunday morning, every show so far has mentioned Muhammad Ali in one way or the other, even brought guests on to talk about him, and I'm sure other channels have as well. So I think he's got his fair share of coverage, for people to say, Muhammad Ali was great for these reasons, and to say why he affected their sport and this and that. So Muhammad Ali definitely got a lot of pub, and is still continuing to get pub even today, Monday afternoon, and should for forever, because he's, I think you could say the greatest boxer in history. So a lot of people have him on their Mount Rushmore. I don't, because I don't think boxing is... I don't know that I like boxing a lot, but I'm not sure if I could put it on a Mount Rushmore of sports. Even though it doesn't make a lot of sense why you could, because it is an individual sport. But I don't know if any boxer, there's no boxer that was 100-0. And the whole thing with boxing is like there's different weight classes. So you could say that, well, this middleweight was the best, but then I could say, well, he never fought a heavyweight, because obviously he can't because of the size difference. But it doesn't mean he's really the best then. So I have a tough time with that whole comparison with boxing, because you could say, it should be easier to put a tennis player, a golfer, a boxer, maybe a race car driver ahead of the team sport guys. But there's always those, what America comes back down to is that the four major sports matter more than the individual sports. So I think that always takes priority. And like I said, there's a lot of different ways you could nitpick at it and say, well, how's Muhammad Ali the best when he didn't first? He never fought Floyd Mayweather in this era, or Roy Jones. Just stuff like that. So anyway, that was a long, long way to answer that question, but I think he'd be okay with his coverage. Um, oh man, Joe's next question is I don't know how I didn't bring this up first. Would you rather take public transportation or be dead? This is the easiest question ever, and it's I'd rather be dead, 100% dead. I think I mentioned early on in the podcast how I drive in if I work at night. So we do these NBA post-game shows. So the finals come on 8, 9 o'clock, whatever. I drive in. I watch like the first quarter, drive into the Manhattan from Staten Island during like the second quarter, midway through. Get there for around halftime, midway third quarter, whatever. Watch the fourth quarter, and then we start our show. Show then has an extra. It's an hour-long show. So whenever the game ends, say it ends at 10:30, we just go from 10:30 to 11 to 12 is our full hour show, and then the extra half hours, whatever. So we'll end by midnight, say. So I drive home, and I get home. I leave at midnight, get home by 12:45. Like it's a piece of cake doing that. But now when I do shows that I had to go in for a pregame show, or I had to go in for a regular shift, say like 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever. So now things get changed up because now I'm driving into Manhattan when more people are around driving. And they decided to do, construction on the FDR, like the House Street exit was closed. So every lane going from south to northbound on the FDR was closed on the weekends. So they were like, oh, well, the east side, if you want to go up the east side on the weekends, you can't. So find other places to drive. Like they don't have any regard for people with plans on the weekend in New York City, the most populated place on the planet. So I had to deal with that. So that means going on the west side. West side has lights, and you get jammed up there. And then somebody drove a plane into the Hudson River, so there was a bunch of cops over there. Like, no matter what day it is, there's always something going wrong in the city that makes it impossible for you to get anywhere you need to be on time. And this is just driving. Like, I haven't gotten to the whole slew of stories I have with the subway yet. So, I mean, driving for the most part hasn't been as bad because I'm mostly driving at night, but I do drive a little bit earlier, and recently, especially with the whole FDR crap, I've hit into a lot of problems, a lot of traffic. Parking is just atrocious. I work on 49th and 6th. I'm sometimes parking like 51st and like West Street just to find a free spot and walk across, most of Manhattan. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm getting so sick and tired of this place, and I cannot wait to move out of here. Public transportation itself, which is the real question I guess Joe asked, the funniest thing happened the other day was this woman, she had to be crazy. She's wearing like one of those like earphones that go behind your head, like it has like that weird bar, I guess, like when you clip them on the back of your ears. And she was like listening to music, like keeping to herself, and then you switch over from the one train. I take the one train from the ferry to 50th or 50th back down to South Ferry, and I always usually transfer to the 2 or 3 Express at 42nd Street because it's much quicker. It's only a couple stops, and we get on the express train. The express train slows down and stops at like 34th or 14th, wherever it was, and the one train across from us was going first. And she just started screaming at the top of her lungs, saying like, "I need to be somewhere." And the one train's a local. The local's not supposed to go faster than the express train. And just like screaming, and she was pacing, and everyone just like, I just started laughing because one, she's crazy, and two, I actually agree with her. Like, it sucks. Like, the MTA is the least reliable thing ever. If you ever want to make a ferry on time, and you think, okay, I got a half hour to get from 42nd to the ferry, like, there's just no chance you're making it. It's gonna just find ways to stop, train traffic, or just people not getting to the front of the car, whatever reason it is. It's just miserable. Besides the fact that now it's hot out and it smells and there's just rats everywhere, it's just miserable. The trains are full of they're always packed, never get a seat. And I'm figured going to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock ferry, and thought it would be empty, get a seat, sit for 20 minutes and just recharge the batteries before you go to work. And like the train's always full of like those blue collar guys that wear like the neon. They have like 2 pairs of clothes. It's like the neon yellow t-shirt and jeans, or like the neon yellow sweatshirt and jeans when it's cold out. That's all those guys wear. And like the boots, like they bought those like steel-toed Timberland boots stained with paint already. Um, all those blue-collar guys who go to work wherever on construction sites in the city, so that they pack the trains that early in the morning, so you don't get a seat on them either. It's just, I don't know. I can't take it anymore with the whole public transportation. Every day is a new thing I tweet about. The MTA stinks. They don't respond to me, and probably rightfully so, because I just destroy them. But it sucks. It really sucks. It's a great question to ask, because I really hate it. And I think Joe understands how much I hate it from reading my tweets. Could you ever respect a man who drives a smart car? Was Joe's next tweet. That's a good question. I think the earlier... Wait, what's a smart car? I gotta Google a smart car before I answer this like an idiot. Oh, was that smart car a car that drives itself? Smart car. Oh, those little ones. Oh, absolutely not. Well, no. This is the key to this question. So I forgot I was at a dealership a couple years back with my dad, and I think Mercedes owns smart car. And we're talking about the smart car, and the guy at the dealership was like, yeah, don't ever drive them, because if you do, going like 45 miles an hour at a certain angle is like a 60% chance of death. And then going 65 miles per hour at a certain angle is like a 90% chance of death. Like the guy literally said, if you take this car and drive it fast enough into a wall or to a car or a guardrail, like you're gonna die. So in that regard, I respect him, because the guy's just putting his life like on the line. But if you live in like a suburban town, you're like I don't know, one of those like geeky guys who drives around a smart car and has like a family, like, then I don't know, there's something wrong with you. Then it's almost like a guy who drives a mini. It's just as bad as a minivan. Like if you're a dude, you can't drive a minivan. You can't drive a smart car. I think you could drive like a sedan, I guess, or some kind of truck, or Jeep, something along the lines of that, Range Rover, if you make enough dough. I think those are like the acceptable answers. Do not use public transportation at all. But yeah, so in one way, yeah, I respect you because you're putting your life on the line. But I mean, if that's your car of choice, then there's something wrong with you. Especially after hearing those stats. I'm throwing out stats like you right now, and I mean, that's just, I don't know. Driving is dangerous enough. Why do you want to risk it even more? Next question. Oh my god, this is hilarious. Do you remember Barry from Tech? That's our high school. Not really a discussion question, just to think about him a lot. Yeah, I do remember him. I'm not sure how many people listen to this podcast that went to Tech, but Barry was a kid who I think got in because his parents sued about his test environment when he had to take. So our high school, you have to take a specialized test to get in. Barry did not meet the qualifications for the score to get in, and I believe his parents like sued or started some kind of protest thing that the classroom was loud and this and that, and that prohibited him from scoring higher, whatever, some kind of BS. You know, your kid didn't get in, he didn't get in. So he got in, and he was a little off. Very tiny kid. I think he was Jewish. Not that it matters. Just very, very like shell shocked, or I don't know what's like another good word. Like afraid of his own shadow kind of guy, and he used to obviously get. If you got bullied in our high school full of nerds, like you were pretty screwed up. And I'm pretty sure he had a couple like screaming outbursts, if I remember correctly. I definitely need to like go back and talk to Joe about this, and talk to the guys in my group about this about Barry. We haven't brought him up in forever, so this is like a blast in the past. Oh man. I definitely got to follow this one up. So I'm not doing this justice right now, but I got to go up and ask all those crazy stories. So I think I'm not sure if I'm combining Barry with somebody else. I think I was accurate with that, but I'm gonna say hold off on this full. I'll re-answer this next week when I get more information on Barry. But I'm pretty sure I think I nailed it. That he was like a freak of nature kid that sued his way into tech. But I will revisit that one soon. His last question is, do you think your podcast would be enhanced by the addition of a sassy toddler? Absolutely I do. That's a no-brainer as well. You have the girl in Game of Thrones last night, what's her name, something Mormont, Lyanna Mormont. She was like a 10-year-old girl who was like bitching out Jon and Sansa, yeah, something like that. I'd actually pick a guy like a 4 or 5-year-old guy toddler who was funny, but I feel like sassy's more of a girl thing. Like girls are more conniving, cunning, funnier, sarcastic, wittier. And guys are just like, a 5-year-old guy would just go play with toys or whatever and watch TV. I'm not sure how many of them would want to be involved in a podcast, but if I could somehow get them to give us content, I think it would definitely enhance it. I would ask them the questions about like LeBron, what TV shows they like. I talk about Game of Thrones. They could talk about like The Wiggles. So I think it would definitely increase my female listenership if we had some kind of funny baby. I think everyone likes babies, so that would be good. Last question I got was not from Joe. Robbie, LeBron loses, leave the Cavaliers. Yeah, I already answered that. I don't think LeBron's leaving the Cavaliers. I think that would. I mean, if LeBron left the Cavaliers, could you imagine all the stupid stuff he's said and done already this year? Imagine if he left the Cavs. Like, where would he go? Who would even want him? Back to South Beach? He's not going to the Spurs. He's not going to the Warriors. The Knicks. Like, I don't know. He's not going anywhere. I don't think it's feasible for a team to take him on. I think everyone in his group or his posse would say, "Listen, LeBron, like you are the biggest idiot if you leave Cleveland. There's a way better chance of him trading Kyrie and Kevin Love than I think for him to leave and go and put on a new uniform. I just cannot imagine that, or the magnitude of the fallout from that. I don't see that happening at all. But anyway, wow, that was a lot of great Twitter questions. Thank you, Joe. I need more people like Joe to tweet at me and give me stuff like that to talk about. I wasn't totally prepared to do this. I don't have that many talking points. This one's a little bit shorter. I just kind of wanted to put out content, so I kind of just recapped Game of Thrones and talked a little NBA Finals and NHL Finals. But thank God for those Twitter questions, because that gave an extra like 10 minutes. So next week I'll come back with more stuff, prepped, ready to go. Like I said, I'm open to talk about anything now, not just sports. So girls, guys, tweet about shows, movies, life advice, want to say, dating stuff, we'll do it. I'll do like a KFC, radio, mail time, Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast, whatever mix you want from my perspective. So hopefully it makes me more appealing, because in reality, who's coming to me to listen to sports when you can turn on an ESPN and listen to guys who got paid millions of dollars for that or play the sport? So I can at least give my unique perspective on these things. So I will tweet this out, DisneySwitchingPodcast.com, DNS_podcast on Twitter, at Edward L. Murphy on Twitter. The SoundCloud page is up there still. Same thing, just type in Dish and Switch Podcast. I was thinking about changing the name, but I think I should probably just leave it at this point. It's my brand, right? So whatever brand I do have. So it's Monday night. I think I'm going to go out to dinner and probably should apply to some other jobs. So until next time, guys, thank you for all the Twitter questions, and keep listening.